There are some rules when doing multiplication or division of integers, and they're really not too hard to remember. I'm going to go through some examples for you just to show you what those rules are. The first one is if you have a positive number times a positive number, your answer will be a positive number. Okay, so some examples, positive 3 times a positive 4. Okay, both numbers are positive. 3 times 4, that's 12. That's going to be a positive 12. Another one, 10 times 3, or you could write it with the positives. Both of these numbers are going to give us positive 30. Okay, so a positive times a positive will give you a positive answer. The second rule is when you multiply two negatives, you're going to get a positive number. So I'll write that down in shorthand. Negative times a negative equals a positive number. An example would be negative 4 times negative 2. Negative 4 times negative 2 will give you a positive 8. Another example, negative 5 times negative 10 will give you positive 50. Now, this rule is true if you have an even numbered amount of factors. Remember, these numbers here in a multiplication problem are called factors. And in both of these problems, we have 2 factors in both problems. So this works with an even number of factors. Now, I'll give you some examples of this after we talk about the third rule. So the third rule states that if you have a positive times a negative, or a negative times a positive, in both instances, that's going to equal a negative answer. So a negative answer. So here's some examples. Say we have a positive 10, and we're going to multiply that by a negative 4. Well, 10 times 4 is 40, but our answer will be negative 40. Let's start with a negative first. Say we have negative 5 times a positive 3. When we multiply this, it's 15, but it's going to be a negative 15. So just to recap real quick, when the signs are the same, when both are positive, the answer is positive. When the signs are negative and we have an even numbered amount of factors, our answer will be positive. But if we have a positive and a negative, then the answer will be negative. Now let me go through some examples of this, because we want to talk about, well, what if we have an odd number of factors in our problem? What sign will the answer take? So let's say we have a positive 2 times a let me redo that. Let's say this is negative, so I'm going to rewrite that. Let's say we have a negative 2 times a negative 3 times a negative 4. So you can see I have 3 factors. 3 is an odd number. And so I'm going to just multiply. Negative 2 times negative 3 is positive 6. So if you look here, this is, I followed number 2. Negative times a negative gives you a positive. Now I'm going to multiply that positive 6 to a negative. That brings us to rule number 3. So a positive times a negative will give us a negative 24. So notice how the odd number of factors that are listed gave us a negative. When you have an even number of factors, like over here, your answer is positive. Let's do one more. Let's say we have 5 negatives, and let's see if we get a negative. I'm just going to use 2's because I don't want to create a large problem multiplying here pretty quickly. So negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, and so on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So negative 2 times negative 2 is going to give me a positive 4. Positive 4 times negative 2 will give me a negative 8. Negative 8 times negative 2 will give me a positive 16. Positive 16 times a negative 2 will give me a negative 32. Again, my answer is a negative number. So if we have an odd number of factors of negative factors, the answer, or the product, I messed up. The product, which is the answer, will be negative.